With more and more superheroes lining up to take a crack at the blockbuster box office, even characters in comic books that seem like long shots on the big screen are being given a chance. Marvel and DC's biggest heroes are being reinvented every year, but some of the most incredible or riskiest ideas have already come and gone. Here are Screen Rant's superhero movies that could have been. Batman Year 1. After the Batman movies were killed in the late 90s, the studio looked to director Darren Aronofsky for a reboot, who decided to team up with Frank Miller to adapt his comic Batman Year 1 onto film. The origin story would have thrown everything about Batman out the window, having Bruce Wayne live on the streets after his parents were killed and learn martial arts from books, being mentored by an auto mechanic, not Alfred. The project was eventually seen as too different from the version fans knew, but Aronofsky's leading man stuck around. Christian Bale was his top choice for Bruce Wayne too. Green Lantern. The version of DC's resident ring slinger that fans got was less than a hit, but things could have been a lot worse. Before Ryan Reynolds took up the ring as Green Lantern, the studio planned on casting Jack Black in the part. In a lighter story written by veteran comedy writer Robert Smigel, the movie would have followed the ring as it found the wrong person for the job, sending its hero into events way out of his reach. Since the Green Lantern movie that was made was mostly criticized by following the superhero formula too closely, who knows? Maybe a comedy would have actually worked out better. Fantastic Four. Before he was chosen to take on Marvel's Ant-Man, director Peyton Reed was working to get a Fantastic Four movie into production at Fox. The movie would have followed the comics to the letter, set in the 1960s, with the movie poster recreating the first issue's cover in live action. With the cast hoping to see Charlize Theron as Sue Storm, Paul Walker as Johnny Storm, John C. Reilly as The Thing, and Jude Law as Dr. Doom, Fantastic Four fans would have been in for a bankable movie adventure, if nothing else. Justice League Mortal. No matter how satisfying DC's Justice League may turn out, it's hard to forget that if things had gone according to plan, the super team would have hit the screen almost a decade earlier. Justice League Mortal was intended to be a younger take on the heroes, starring actors Armie Hammer, Jay Baruchel, and Adam Brody, with director George Miller at the helm, and special effects from the minds behind The Lord of the Rings. A writer's strike threw the movie off track, despite the cast having already assembled to start production. Considering Miller's next try turned into Mad Max Fury Road, Mortal could have been something truly special. Batman Beyond. When Warner Brothers was still thinking about a new Batman reboot in the early 2000s, they also got the wheels moving on a Batman Beyond project. Calling in the series creators to help write a script, the story was described as a dark, cyberpunk version of Sam Raimi's Spider-Man, with the teenage hero taking up the role of Batman from Bruce Wayne decades into the future. The story is still a hit with fans in every form, so there's no question Batman Beyond was a missed opportunity. Superman Lives. As the most famous superhero movie never made, it's hard to believe Tim Burton's take on Superman didn't make it to shooting after he made Batman a big screen hit. But after casting Nicolas Cage in the lead role, and with a script that saw Superman killed and resurrected, battling a Lex Luthor who had fused with Brainiac, the studio got cold feet. It was an outlandish idea, but even if the movie turned out to be a disaster, fans still wonder if the finished film would have been worth it in the end. Doctor Strange. Marvel is finally getting around to making a movie about their Sorcerer Supreme, but the version they almost had seems like a dream come true. While Sandman creator Neil Gaiman had been brought on to consult on a Doctor Strange movie back in 2007, he mentioned it to director Guillermo del Toro on the set of Hellboy 2. The two joined forces, both with famous talents for creating fantasy worlds. But when del Toro had to drop out to make The Hobbit, Gaiman did as well, leaving fans to wonder if the perfect creative team had just slipped by. Wonder Woman. It was director Joss Whedon who kicked Marvel's movie universe into high gear with The Avengers, bringing comedy and action together on a colossal scale. But years before, he'd tried to get a Wonder Woman movie off the ground at Warner Brothers. He couldn't convince the studio that his version of a kick-ass heroine would work, and eventually gave up. But The Avengers proves he might have had a point, especially since he included his top choice for the Amazonian princess in actress Cobie Smulders. Spider-Man. Marvel's famous web-slinger helped launch the age of superhero movies, but he could have gotten his big-budget debut almost a decade earlier. Director James Cameron set his sights on a Spider-Man movie as early as 1992, looking to cast Peter Parker as a smart-ass quipster who used his suit to turn the tables on his would-be bullies. Since the director of Avatar, Aliens, Terminator, and True Lies doesn't have a dud on his resume, fans can only dream of how good the movie might have been if the studio had gotten on board. The Batman. Long before Warner Brothers worried about making Batman serious or gritty, they were focused on just making him successful. That meant bringing in Tom Mankiewicz, contributing writer of Superman the movie and several James Bond films, to craft a story capturing both sides of the character. With David Bowie as the Joker, and either Eddie Murphy or Michael J. Fox eyed for Robin, director Ivan Reitman already had Bill Murray in mind as the star. The studio eventually saw trouble in such a strange direction and pulled the plug. Even now, it's impossible to say if they made the right call. Those are the superhero movies that came shockingly close to being made, for better or for worse. Know of any others? Let us know the movies you wish had gotten a chance, and remember to subscribe for more videos like this one.